Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and hot. Whoop, there's so much drama, coffee and spice.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
Welcome, everybody, to Fueled by Deathcast. It is episode 112.
I'm ready for the 1,000th episode.
Oh, we're getting there.
Who do you think will get on? I know who will get on the 1,000th
The
episode.
1,000th episode,
Yes,
dude? Okay,
yes.
so 10 years down the road, who are we going to get?
Christian Slater.
Yay! We're getting Christian Slater way before that.
Yeah, but that's when we will bring him on as a co-host.
Yeah, or he'll be dead. Jeez, this got dark really quick.
Welcome to Death Wish Coffee.
Yeah, let's start it off.
Kill your idols.
I am the incredible Jeff.
And I am the amazing D-Man.
And we'd love it if you followed us over on social media. It's really easy to do. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee.
And I am at Death Wish Dustin.
And speaking of social media, as we mentioned earlier, if you're not utilizing your favorite social media platform to follow Christian Slater, I don't know why you have social media in the first place.
In fact, I don't know why you're not using your least favorite social media platform to follow Christian Slater.
He might be on Snapchat. I don't know.
I don't see why he
Probably
wouldn't
not.
be. Oh, see, now we have it.
I don't know. Maybe he is. Like you've said many shows now, social media was created specifically for Christian Slater.
I mean, that's not Bob Dole.
Bob Dole created the internet.
Al Gore. Al Gore was created by God.
Yes.
God was like, okay, Al Gore, I'll put you on the earth to create social media and the internet. The internet, then social media, right? 'Cause It has
Gotcha.
to go like that.
Right.
And Al Gore took the Lucifer route, and he said, well, I'm going to create social media just so people can follow Christian Slater.
Yes.
That's the story in the Bible that I read.
That's a weird Bible you're reading, but it's okay.
It's turning
okay.
into a weird podcast.
It really is.
We're
But
broadcasting
we
here.
love Christian Slater. We also love our good friend Brock Powell.
Rockvox.com.
Brock is the voice on this show and 1,000 voices out there in the world. Speaking of social media, check out Brock Vox across all social media platforms. In fact, Brock just got to host the red carpet at the Annie Awards.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
The Annie Awards are the annual animation awards.
Oh.
And so he was interviewing all the people who are in animation, whether it's on the drawing side or the voice acting side like he is. And he looked like he had a ton of fun doing
He's
that.
perfect for that job,
Of
man.
course he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, you can follow all that kind of stuff on his platforms if you follow him at Brock Vox on social media. Speaking of this show, though, one thing we haven't actually mentioned in a while is you can find Fueled by Deathcast on your favorite podcast app. We are on iTunes. We are on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Music, iHeartRadio, probably a bunch of others that I can't even think of at this moment. We're also on YouTube. We're on Facebook, and we're at deathwishcoffee.com. But if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher or these types of platforms, what really helps the show is if you like the show, give us a rating and a review over there. That really helps people, discover the show, and we like to hear from you, too, if you like what you hear. And even if you don't like what you hear, let us know.
Yeah, a little bit of feedback always helps, but if it's negative feedback, I'm going to fucking find you.
but yeah, so if you're listening to us on any of those platforms, drop us a rating and a review, and we'd really, really appreciate it. And speaking of podcasts, some of our favorite podcasts are done by some of our good friends, and I wanted to shout those out at the top of the show this week. One of our friends who's been on this show a couple times, we love him to death. His name is Dave Solo, and if you haven't heard us talk about him, we're not doing our job enough because, man, do we love Dave Solo. He has two separate podcasts out there, one called The Pop 10, which every month comes out and runs down 10 awesome pop culture things that are happening that month, and he usually has special guests and special hosts. A lot of fun that he records right at Universal Studios Orlando. His other podcast is called Walker Nation, which as you'd suspect, has a lot to do with The Walking Dead, and he runs down his thoughts with his co-hosts about current episodes, past episodes, and also the horror genre in general. So if that's up your alley, you definitely want to listen to Walker Nation. We also want to shout out our good friend Ricky Rackman. Ricky Rackman just got into the podcast game. He's got 2 podcasts out right now, one called the Cat House Hollywood podcast, which is a short and sweet episode every other week that deals with a single event that happened at the infamous Cat House. Episode 3 just hit, and it was crazy. It was all about the feud between Axl Rose and Vince Neil. Really, really, really cool stuff in that one. Plus, Ricky's got another one out called 19 Minutes with Ricky and Leah, and it's Ricky and Leah Vendetta. And they just shoot the shit, having a good time.
What happens when they go over 19 minutes?
Then it cuts. It literally, it just cuts them off.
It just turns into a shitty 90s DJ scratching records.
And you can check out that one as well. And then Ricky's coming out with his 3rd podcast, which is a long-form podcast called One Foot in the Gutter, where he's going to do kind of like what we do here, interviewing a guest each week. And just, he knows so many people in many different industries, and that should be really fun when he releases that. Finally, I want to shout it out to friend of the show, friend of Death Wish Coffee, Mr. Throwback Thursday. If you guys are fans of hip-hop, this is the podcast for you, for sure. And we might have them as a special guest on an upcoming episode. Oh, wait, it's this episode. We're going to get to that very, very, very shortly. But boy, do we love Mr. Throwback Thursday.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
Oh, shit, it's that time again. Tell your mom, tell your mom's friend, tell your neighbors, tell your cousins. Shit, just tell yourself, because we're giving away a 12% discount code on deathwishcoffee.com that's running all the time. It's discount of death. But if you're feeling a little bit randy, you can use discount of Jeff, because we love Jeff so much. The seven of you people who did use it, I'm looking at you. You guys are clever. I like it.
We see you. There is discount of death for 12% off everything on Death Wish Coffee. Every single purchase you make on deathwishcoffee.com, 12% off. It's such a good deal. But yes, we did make the warring code discount of Jeff. And I'd love it if more of you use that. So get on it. Discount of Jeff. Also, 12% off of every purchase. deathwishcoffee.com. It's that easy. Okay, D-Man, I've been really excited to bring this double dose of a guest to you for episode 112. That's right, we have Mr. Throwback Thursday, Jamie and Bill, both from that amazing podcast.
I got my Throwback Thursday mug.
Yeah, mine's over on the shelf somewhere right back there, yeah. And we love these guys. They've been in the podcasting game way longer than we have, and they have just the niche of the best hip-hop you can possibly put into a show every single week. It really is, and it was so cool to talk to them about why they got into it. A couple old school hip-hop heads that just were like, you know what? We talk about this anyways. Why don't we record it and see if people would want to listen? And every single week, more and more, you guys are tuning in to this incredible show, and we thought, what better way to talk about them, to actually have them on as guests. We've always wanted to really just pick their brain about podcasting, about how they got into it, and really what the draw is for hip-hop. Because hip-hop, as a musical genre, is such a different entity in 2019 as it is when it began, And these guys are connoisseurs of old school hip-hop, but they have a lot of thoughts on the new school as well, and it was really interesting to talk to them about all of this.
Yeah, especially being a guy who is not schooled in hip-hop whatsoever.
Right.
I have very little hip-hop knowledge. Jurassic 5, that's about as far as it goes.
Which is great knowledge to have.
Yeah, I would say that is the golden standard of hip-hop.
I mean, they're up there. They're up there, yes.
Is there better? Am I missing out on something?
Hey, man, you got to ask Jamie and Bill.
Why don't we ask them right now?
So, Mugs Up this week, double dose of awesome Mr. Throwback Thursday. Jamie and Bill, here we go.
The Fueled by Death guest.
I want to know first and foremost, you guys are both part of, obviously, Mr. Throwback Thursday. I want to know from both of you, where did the love of hip-hop begin? Where did that even start for you guys?
Well, for me, I went into it was James way. So I went to the department store with my mom.
Yeah.
And she was wandering around doing her thing. So I just wandered into the music section, and I saw the cover of the UTFO cassette
Ah,
with Roxanne.
yeah.
No idea what UTFO was, nothing. I just looked at the cover of the cassette. I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool. I'm going to get this. And from that moment on, I just needed to have more. And it was hard being in Hyde Park because, you're far enough away from the city where you might get the random cassette show up or an album, but it wasn't there. You had to dig for it. I got a whole lot of collections, like the K-Tel collections.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I got a whole lot of those. And then that introduced me to a whole bunch of artists I never would have known about.
Yeah, like your infamous Rap's Greatest Hits Volume 1.
I have 1, 2, and 3 here on cassette still.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
So how about you? So how about you, Bill?
I got into it. A friend of mine had the Run DMC Rockbox album on vinyl, and I had never heard it before. And I was over at his house, and he started spinning it, and I said, "This is completely different. What is this?" He goes, "This is rap music." And I said, "I like this." I think I was in junior high at the time, maybe my freshman year of high school. So that would go back 1980, 84, 85, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it was nobody else was listening to this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of supplement my thing. And back then, you could join the Columbia House CD clubs and get 13 for a penny. So that's what I did. I supplemented my collection through Columbia House by getting 13 discs for a penny, and they were all hip hop.
Wow.
It's funny. It's funny that they don't do Columbia House anymore. I
They
wonder-
probably lost a buttload of money.
Nobody paid for that shit.
No. Well, there's
TV Pass.
interesting articles about that whole thing, how people would open up fake accounts constantly, get the 13, and then
Yep.
just, especially underage kids like 13, 14-year-olds
Yep.
would do this, send it in, get the discs, and say, "I'm not old enough to enter into a legal contract. This is not binding." So they wouldn't have to pay for anything, and they wouldn't have to order anything else.
That's
See, I
crazy.
just put cassettes in my pockets and walked out of the store. It was a lot easier.
That's great. Now, you guys don't look like the typical hip hop lovers. How often do you find yourself breaking that stigma of like people being surprised that you're so deep into hip hop?
Yeah.
Only on days that end in Y, to be honest with you. Everybody, especially
People to listen to us than to see us too.
yeah, when people see us and they find out what the podcast is about, they're like, really? You look like a librarian. And I'm like, yeah, I do. But
Yeah, it takes about a 10-minute conversation with somebody who's skeptical about what we do for them to realize, oh shit, I don't know as much as they do, so I should shut up.
Yeah.
Is there like a ace up your sleeve that you wait to pull out, like drop that knowledge bomb every now and then?
No, I like to sit and wait and let them go and trip them up when they get to a point where they think they've reached that bomb that they have.
Good move.
It's a lot more fun to sit back and watch them go, well, what about this? And then you hit them with something more obscure and they go, oh.
yeah,
So it's kind of like rap battles, but with hip hop knowledge.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
and now it's even worse because after 252 weeks of one and dones of people nobody's ever heard of, we can pull stuff out that no one's ever heard of. And they just look at you funny, like, what is Hoes with Attitudes?
Do you guys find yourself like digging for that weird hip hop album that nobody's ever heard of?
Yes.
That every week, that's him. Yep.
I'm retired, so I'm home all the time. So I'll start listening to something on usually Spotify. I'll listen to something, and I don't know if you use Spotify, but it says people also like or related artists, and I will click a related artist and click a related artist from there and go down like a 4-hour rabbit hole and land at somebody and go, let me see if these guys have anything. And I'll look them up on like Wikipedia or on Discogs or something. Go, this is the only thing they ever did, but it was kind of good. It's going in the show.
Nice.
You ever do that in a store, like dig through old cassette tapes and like find weird shit, old demos and stuff?
Well, when we started, we would go to the mall like once a week and go, all right, new records are out. Let's go see. And you go into the rap section. And it was like cassettes were stacked on the wall and just start flipping through them. Go, this one looks cool. Ever hear this guy? Nope. All right. And we would grab like 6 or 7 of people we've never heard of.
That's awesome. How
Yeah,
did you guys end up meeting?
High school.
Wow.
We met in high school. James 1 year younger than I am. And we were both in marching band together.
Yeah.
Very
So-
hip hop of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I- he was a skateboard punk at the time.
Yeah.
So he was a percussionist, and I was the drum major. So we just got talking one day. I think he heard me listening to something and kind of had that look like, holy shit, there's another guy who listens to rap music. So we just started talking and comparing notes, and that was it. And then we found out we only lived about 5 minutes away from each other on the same street.
same street, opposite ends.
Wow. It was meant to be.
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
It was. Yes.
So
And now we share a brain.
so when
Not,
did
not for my father, it wasn't. my dad hated
really? Oh, because of the skate punk thing?
No, just because I was. a man.
No, because he thought he was a bad influence.
Were
I
you?
was. I was.
Okay, good.
I still am on occasion, but
Good.
Good. You need bad influences.
Wait, which one of us is the bad influence?
I think we're bad influences on each other.
Right, in different.
I think we're just a bundle of bad influences.
Right.
so.
Yeah.
it works
Um,
out well. You just trade.
Yeah.
So when did the idea to start a podcast happen for you guys? Like, how did that
You handle
coalesce?
So about 5.5 years ago,
Uh-huh.
a buddy of mine who was a radio DJ lost his job, and he took the guys who were on the show with him and started a podcast so that they still had their audience looking for stuff from them. So they had a built-in audience already. And they started doing the show, and then they made themselves a network. So they made a couple other shows with family and friends. And so I sent a message and said, hey, I said, Bobby, why don't you do a hip hop show? Because he's big into Wu-Tang and Tribe. And I said, that'd be a good show for your network. And he said, yeah, it would. He goes, but I don't have enough knowledge. He goes, well, why don't you do it? I said, all right. So I wrote it up and basically like a proposal, like this is what I would say to do. And we would do it this way. And I handed it to him. And he said, yeah, no. He said, you've got no audience. You've got no following. You've got no radio experience. He said, what do you got here? 6 half-hour episodes once a month? So I said, man, all right. So I went back home and I started looking into it. I said, screw it, I can do this myself. I said, how do we do this? And I started talking to friends of mine who had shows. I'm like, what software do you use? What do you do? I said, I have no money to do this with. So I got a hold of Bill. I said, hey, this is what I want to do. Want to do it? And he's like, well, it's kind of like what we do anyway. Because when we get together, this is all we talk about. It's all we've ever talked about.
Yeah.
So it's a natural thing for us to sit there and go, ooh, this news article, did you see this? And we just tell everybody else about it now. But yeah, so every time we hit a milestone, like we just passed 250 episodes.
Congrats.
Thanks. We're going to hit 5 years in January.
Wow.
I always look to that guy and see what he's doing now and go, 6 half-hour episodes, man. So, we're 2 hours a week. Every week. We don't miss a week for 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a huge accolade. And you guys got in the game, 5 years ago. You had to explain to people what the hell a podcast was.
Yeah.
Like you still do to some extent, but most people know what a podcast is now. But like 5 years ago, I wasn't even listening to podcasts.
I was.
No, people have at least heard the term now. Even if they're not listening to them or fully understand, they've heard the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then it wasn't really.
So wait, let
no,
me.
and to be honest with you, Mr. Throwback Thursday wasn't the original name of the show.
Oh, what was it?
It was shell toes and Kangos.
Oh.
Okay.
There was, okay, well, now you're going to start dealing with people with licensing and right. I don't want to try to, so
Yeah.
we checked that before we aired.
And he had started a page on Facebook called, Mr. Throwback Thursday, where every Thursday he would just post old school videos
Mhm.
and people would post videos back and things like that. So he took the name, and that's what he said to me. He goes, I want to turn this into a podcast. Do you think we could do it? And I said, well, we can do anything. I don't know if it's going to be any good. And if you listen to the first 2 or 3 episodes, yeah. Episode 1 is a chore to get through. It really is.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. Our early episodes are pretty terrible as well.
Yeah.
And
back
this
on,
thing just-
Yeah. Sorry. go
And
on.
this thing just grew organically. I mean, I think our first episode was 38 minutes long.
Yep, something like that.
And now we are, between an hour and 45 and 2 hours every week. We've got a set schedule of what we do every week. We have a routine. We have our hip hop headlines. we have our Woo News, which kind of grew organically because there was one week where all the news was Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
And I had said to him, I said, so this week it's just all Woo News. And he goes, I like that. Keep that in mind. So he started finding Wu-Tang articles, and that became the second segment of the show. And then we've always done the record reviews, the one and done and the record of the week. And the one and done doesn't necessarily mean one hit wonder. It just means, one album that's commercially successful.
Yeah.
And then the record of the week can be anything. I mean, we've had some pretty obscure records of the week.
Yeah, one week we had Vanilla Ice as a one and done, and Vanilla Ice's record of the week with a completely different album.
That's awesome.
That was the only time we've ever done that.
And then we have Bill Reed's lyrics, which is
which is one of my favorite segments for sure.
which started off of a news article that we were doing about beef. And
where is it?
It was about Tupac having beef with
Biggie. Yep.
With Biggie. And I read some of the lyrics from an article, and Jamie's friend, our friend, we call him Grandmaster T, I guess called Jamie and said, you need to have Bill read lyrics every single week. because he reads them like Dr. Seuss is what he said. And I said, yeah, that's perfect. So we took that idea and I don't know if you remember Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy.
Yep.
That's where the whole piano thing came from. Because I said to him, we ought to do this like Deep Thoughts, have the nice soothing piano in the background. And you give me these lyrics about these most disgusting, vile things.
I tried.
So the first week we did it with the piano and everything, we had Acknell's Put It in Your Mouth, which is the grossest song.
Yes, it is.
So the juxtaposition of the nice, calm, soothing piano with, put it in your mouth, and people come from far and near. There are people who will watch our feed every week because we live stream now.
Yep. That'll
go away in the middle of the show and then come back for Bill Reed's lyrics because they don't want to miss it. and the only time, Jamie's usually really good at not breaking. He'll send me these things knowing how disgusting they are, and he won't laugh or anything. And it was about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That some lyric came up, and the next thing I know, he's trying so hard not to laugh. He's falling off his chair, and that was it.
It was tough. Well, I will just tell you a simple phrase. He said, "I've got the anal tongue darts." That was the lyric. And I saw it coming. And I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, Bill kind of looks like the anal tongue dart type of
does.
person. Yeah.
As he's doing it.
Yeah. No, I'm actually sitting in a urology office right now, so it's not anal tongue darts. It would be something else. But
so throughout 250 episodes, this show has taken you guys places. It's given you the chance to meet some people. Like, what are some of the craziest things that have happened because of the podcast for you guys?
I'm going to let you handle this because you've got the New Jersey show that you can tell them about.
There was a little concert in Brooklyn. It was called the
that's right. It was Brooklyn
30th anniversary experience.
Yeah.
We grew up on TV Raps.
Totally.
And you put in requests for media access for things and they come back or they don't come back. There's not a no. There's just no. We don't even want to deal with you.
Right.
So I hadn't heard anything. I was like, all right, cool. The night before the show, I get an email from Viacom saying you've been approved and need to be here at this window at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, that's a 7-hour drive for me with no notice because it was 5 o'clock the night before that I found out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to go though. It's just. So
he calls me and says they only gave us one credential, so only one of us can go. And I said, well, you're Mr. Throwback Thursday. I said, go.
So I got to go to that and got what they did. They gave me a seat so I could report on the show, basically.
Right.
It was a good seat. But I went with my friend Marshall Fox from Def Rugs, and he ended up getting backstage access because T Money
His partner
Raps wanted to.
And his partner from Def Rugs is Eric Sermon.
Yes.
EPMD.
So he texts me. He goes, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm sitting over here." And he goes, "I'm coming to get you." So he comes and gets me. We walk back into the locker room areas, and I'm talking to Curtis Blow, who is my fantasy football commissioner. Strangely,
Crazy.
yeah, 4 years now. But I never actually met Curtis.
Right.
So I'm hanging out with Curtis Blow and Smooth B, who was on our show from Nice and Smooth. So when I introduced myself, he's like, "Man, I remember you. I still listen to your guys' show." I'm like, "What?"
So cool.
So end of the night, I met all kinds of people. Flavor Flav was there. Drez from Black Sheep, all these people. And I'm standing on stage at the end of the night with EPMD as they perform. So that's the craziest moment from doing all of this.
Yeah.
Is not only did I get into the show, I'm hanging out in EPMD's locker room with them, and they're like, "Hey, let's go up on stage." I'm like, all right.
It's so cool.
How long ago was that?
That was in June.
Oh, okay. That was like real recent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you
And
guys,
more recently, we just went down to DC. What was it? The beginning of this month.
Yeah.
November 1st. I drove 5.5 hours. He drove 3.5 hours. We met in the middle. We went to the Wu-Tang 25th anniversary of Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers concert in DC.
That was insane.
crazy.
And then drove home the next day. So I spent 11 hours in the car for a 3-hour concert and 7-hour sleep in a hotel room.
Yeah.
But we had to be there.
Heck
we
yeah.
did.
Heck yeah.
That
That's
was like the next show. That's
yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, like, that's all from, like you said, like, you were going to develop this show and you were kind of told no in the beginning. You're like, screw it, I'll do it on my own. And now you've opened up all these different avenues to where people in hip hop are listening to your show. You've had, I know, artists like Premier Music on your show, which is crazy.
We've had, how many Rock and Roll Hall of Famers have we interviewed? 2?
Chuck D,
DMC.
DMC, and Red Alert's in the Hall of Fame, but he's in there as a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so cool and incredible. And for guys who have been loving the genre, since the 80s, like you said, what is your take on it now? I mean, like, it was so surprising that just at the end of this year we saw Wu-Tang Clan perform Protect Your Neck on Good Morning America, which blows my mind to even say those words out loud. Like what do you guys feel about the state of hip hop in today's age?
We talked about it with Eric Sermon when we interviewed him. And my take on hip hop is that the current batch of hip hop artists don't revere the elder statesmen like any other genre of music does. Like, current rock and rollers completely go, nuts for Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and stuff. They treat these people as icons. And that's in basically every other type of music except hip hop. The current, I guess, batch of hip hop artists want nothing to do with the old school heads.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think it's because it's not the same type of music now. Back then, it was more about lyricism and telling stories and really, really good DJ work. Now, and I think one of the artists in one of the articles we read said, we're not all about that. That's too much for us. We just want something we can turn up to. So it's about a driving beat that they can sell, as a ringtone with a catchy little hook and no lyrical content at all.
Yeah. It's more of the pop music mentality than, actual hip hop anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
What I do like about doing our show is we get to find out things like the artists that we grew up listening to are bringing out new stuff.
Yeah.
So, like Redman brings out a new album, and it's a Redman album. It's not Redman trying to be Migos. It's
right.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very few artists that we grew up listening to that are putting out music that are trying to fit in. They're not doing that. What they're doing is what they know works for their fans, and hopefully somebody else will pick up on it.
Very cool. Very cool. So I got to switch gears here real quick, and I got to ask the question, when did you guys find out about Death Wish Coffee? I mean, we love Mr. Throwback Thursday, and I feel like you guys have been synonymous with Death Wish Coffee since before I was ever a part of this
Yeah,
company.
fully embedded into the
Yeah,
community.
like
and-
how'd you guys find the company and the coffee?
I found it by proxy through him. So I'll,
Well, I used to drink it when we were recording, and Bill's like, "Are you drinking that death stuff again?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Isn't it late at night?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be all right." End of 2013, I got an Amazon gift card for my birthday. It's December 15th. I got an Amazon gift card. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was drinking Rev in the
Yeah.
K cups
Yep.
Yeah.
because 20 years of Navy coffee, you need something that's got a little jump to it. So,
Yeah.
and then they stopped making, or it wasn't available at the time. Rev was not available anywhere. And I said, I need strong coffee. I said, let me type in strongest coffee and see what comes up. And obviously, you guys hang right off the top. And I said, all right. I said, I'll try it. I got a $25 gift card. I will buy some of this coffee. And I can honestly say I've not purchased another coffee since that day.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
If I
crazy.
take my coffee with me, like, when we went up to DC, I didn't want to carry my Chemex. I brought a French press with me, and my grinder, we had coffee there. I went on a cruise. I brought refillable tea bags,
Oh, nice.
and I grind all my coffee and put it in tea bags, and I take it with me to the restaurant or wherever I'm going. If I go out to a restaurant here, I bring a tea bag with me.
See?
That's
he
some
brought
pro,
it with him to
that's some
the
pro tip
Wu-Tang
shit.
show.
Yeah, because you can get a whole, like 1,000 of the tea bags on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you just grind your coffee before you go out anywhere, and you can get, I think, just over 2 tablespoons in the bag. So when they give you these little shot glasses of hot water,
Mm-hmm.
just put that in there, let it steep.
Dustin and
Don't-
I are the worst. We travel all the time, and we never have coffee for ourselves. We bring it to everybody else. We never have. We're always dealing with shitty hotel coffee because we're
Nope,
we're
never,
dummies.
We got like
This-
No, we didn't drink. We didn't drink hotel coffee down in DC for
See?
the Wu-Tang. He brought his coffee. He actually brought his grinder, and we grinded it fresh that morning.
Told you.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, we're the worst.
We are the worst. We got to up our game.
Oh my god. Yeah, we don't even
That-
we don't even grab ourselves K cups for the hotel room. It's and we're handing this shit out all day.
Yeah.
It's,
And we get
it's
back to the
crazy.
hotel, and we're like, damn it.
Kept a little bit.
that teabag trick is the greatest idea.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that idea.
Sell that shit.
So one of the questions I've been asking a lot on our show of fans of Death Wish, especially people like you guys who have been, checking out the company since 2015, you said. You've seen us go to the Super Bowl. You've seen us do all the different things we've done, all the merch we make, all the coffee we've done. Is there anything we haven't tried that you think we should try? A piece of merch, a mug idea, anything?
I think, well, you should team up with Wu-Tang Clan, but that's a different story.
I agree.
I think,
for the children, right? We should
of course,
do it for the children.
Yeah, you could,
Yes.
and have a Bring the Ruckus blend or something like that. That'd be
I love it. I love it.
No, I think you're I think you started something on the right track that you should go back in history and redo. You did the T-shirt for the space mug.
Mm-hmm.
You should do classic mug medallion T-shirts.
It's a good idea. Like really classic ones, like
Lucky
the
or you could be like Jamie,
Sam, Larry,
yeah,
get into the old ones.
or you could be like Jamie and get a mug logo tattooed on you.
yeah. You do have a mug logo tattooed. on
Where's
you.
that tattooed? Oh damn.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
Woo. Dedication.
That's cool though. I like that idea about doing the old stuff with it because like some of those old designs are really cool and they're well loved by fans like you guys who have been fans of the company for so long. Iconic stuff. Yeah, I think that would do well. It's something we should run up the flagpole for the next year maybe.
How many people?
You know what else
jump on that
you
pumpkin
guys
ale?
did really well with? The pumpkin ale. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my son drinks that stuff like it's crack. I bought
Because it is.
I'm
kidding.
I bought a pack. I bought a bag of it,
In
and
there.
I went to make some, and it was 3/4 gone. I said, "What happened to my my cauldron blend?" And my stepson Wyatt is 22. He's like, "Oh, that stuff's good. I've been drinking that every morning." He had the French press, and he drinks it out of there. So
Yeah, it's $25 too. Hook me up. You can have
yeah,
Yeah.
That's kind of what I said to him. I said, good. Now I know what you're getting for Christmas and nothing more.
Yeah, right? Definitely.
So,
But as far as other ideas, I'm a hockey guy. I grew up playing hockey. I still referee hockey. So the hockey jersey thing was a great idea for me. But I mean, if you did like soccer jerseys or baseball, any kind of sports related stuff would be cool.
Yeah, we're looking into doing more of that because there was a really good response from the hockey jersey. Also, the what is it? The workout shirt, I guess you could call it.
The
or
athletic
tee,
the
that had a
performance
really good-
t-shirt.
yeah. So we might be doing more of
Yes.
that in the future too, which is really cool. You were gonna.
Yeah. So, what's in the future for Throwback Thursday? What do you guys have planned for the show? Do you guys plan to change it at all? Add more stuff? Plan to get different guests, or what's in the works?
We're always working on guests. All the guests that we've had on, seriously, over the entire time, every guest that we've had on, we've reached through social media directly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Except for Chuck D. Chuck D, we had to go through his assistant who put us in touch with his publicist. So we found a way there. But everything else has been direct contact with the artists, which is why I think they come back to us when they do have new music to break. Like, I've got this new record. These guys looked out for me, and they send it directly to us. We world premiered a track from AG, from Show and AG, because he sent me a message during the show while we were recording. He's like, hey, do you want this? Yes. I do. So yeah, we're always trying to track down new guests. We don't have any kind of insider information. We just track people down and we beat them until they come on the show.
That's the way you got to do it sometimes.
It is. We wear them down long enough, they'll come on.
And as far as anything with the show, I like the length of the show every week. I think it's just enough that people don't get, oh my God, this is 3 hours long, I'm never going to listen to this. But we have a good routine. We have a good pattern of everything that we do. And I just, I'm wondering when he's going to run out of one and dones. That's all. I mean, we're 5 years into it, and he still finds these things. And I'm like, God damn, he'll send me one and I'll have to go and look it up. And I'll be like, what is this?
And then he'll ask me before we start the show, where did you find this? I'm like, well, this guy, and I ended up down here. I'm like, that's like way more than 6 degrees of separation. I don't know how you got there, but
That's
I
awesome.
think the only thing that'll really change the layout of the show at this point is if something happens organically, like it has in the past. Like Woo News happened because it happened, and Bill Reed's lyrics happened because it happened. Now, I'm not going to look to add anything. Well, we may do that thing with John Henderson, but we may have one segment coming up. People have sent us ideas for segments, like to do a hip hop themed movie review once a month or something. But when you're looking at a 2-hour show, if you add that in, something's got to come out. So
Yeah, for sure.
I love it when celebrities try to get into the hip hop game.
Yeah.
Like Macho Man.
Yeah.
Came out with that rap song
Yep.
against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Shaq did something,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
That was
yeah.
terrible.
look, I will tell you,
No,
look at Shaq's
Shaq
catalog.
is actually very good.
Shaq has had some horrible stuff. You dig into Shaq's catalog, and he's got like 9 albums.
Oh my God.
What?
Exactly. And I know at least one of them was Eric Sermon produced. But you dig into some of the Shaq stuff that's not centered around Kazam or something like that,
Fu, yeah.
and just listen to his lyrics. Aside from him saying he's a Shaq knife, which I still don't know what that is.
But it cuts with precision. That's
It
all we
does,
know about.
It does.
The first time I heard him was on Fushnikin's record. I was like, Shaq raps?
So crazy. I guess then we're here at the $1 million question then for both of you guys. I got to know then, what fuels you, each of you, to keep doing it, to keep doing the show, to keep, loving hip hop and bringing it to the masses?
I would say it's a toss up for me between knowing that the music we love and the artists we love are still out there doing things and trying to spread that information to other people,
Mhm.
because they need every avenue they can get, because they're not part of major record labels anymore because they've been burned so many times. They're all doing stuff independently, and to stick it to the guy who said we couldn't do it.
Awesome.
I'm still
And-
friends with him, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
But
And
fuck
mine
that
is-
guy.
a personal thing. It's a personal thing to me. Every time we hit a landmark, I go,
Yeah.
No, don't fuck that guy. We used to do a fuck fill in the blank every week.
Yes,
And 9 times out of 10, it's going to end up being Gene Simmons. But,
it is.
but for me, the reason I keep doing the show is because it's 2 hours a week. I get to hang with my best friend who lives 8 hours away now. And we get to talk like we were sitting in his bar in his backyard, listening to his iPod like we always used to do.
Yes.
And it's fun. You know, it's still fun. The minute it's not fun or the minute it becomes a job,
Right.
that's probably when we reevaluate it. But right now it's fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's
And that's why you should do it.
yeah.
I mean, unless you're some big corporate monster who's using it as a big corporate, it's not a small. Yeah, the guys who go, all right, well, we need to do one of those podcast things because everybody's. Unless you're those people,
Yeah.
you should do it because it's fun to do.
Yeah.
And we've always said, even if we only have 7 loyal listeners, as long as they're loyal listeners and they enjoy it every week, we're going to keep doing it.
That's awesome. That's the best attitude to have, especially in this
and
industry.
the passion shows. For
sure, guys. Finally, for anybody who's watching this or listening to this who might not know how to follow you guys, what's the best way to follow you? What's the best way to find the show?
Best way to find the show is at our website, MrThrowbackThursday.com.
I'll put that in our show as well.
But we are everywhere. I mean, if there is a podcast player, we're on it.
Mm-hmm.
We're on Spotify, we're on iHeart, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Anchor, you name it, we're there.
Excellent. And do you guys personally do social media a lot? Do you want to plug that at all, or?
Sure. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm at _MR_TBT. And on Instagram, I'm at Mr. Throwback Thursday.
Perfect.
And my Twitter and Instagram handles for the show are the same, at Bill_MR_TBT. And we are pretty active on social media. He gets a lot of hits. We'll pose a question to the posse and he'll post it on Twitter and we'll get, hundreds of replies because big time groups like Hip Hop Golden Age and people like that will retweet it and we'll get responses from all over the place.
Awesome.
So
That's awesome.
we've used the social media to expand our audience immensely.
Yeah, we don't have like hundreds of thousands of followers, but some of the people who follow us regularly do. So
Righteous.
That's pretty rad. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on our show for finally. It was great talking with you guys, and I know I'll keep tuning in every week to Throwback Thursday because I love what you guys are doing.
appreciate it. Thanks for having
And
me.
we'll keep putting it out and we'll keep drinking our Death Wish coffee when we do it.
Excellent.
Because we always say that you are the only other podcast that can say they're fueled by death. And that's only because it's your product.
every week.
So every week that we're the 2 podcasts that are fueled by death.
Yes,
So
it is true. It is true. Well, awesome.
but
Awesome.
only one of them gets the term anal tongue darts from time to time. So
You don't know that for sure.
We got to work harder, Dustin.
Yeah.
Now.
Next week.
as of now,
Next week, our guest is anal tongue darts.
anal tongue
Little
Yeah.
anal tongue.
Oh,
darts.
little or young anal tongue darts.
Oh gosh. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having us.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.